Hey there, welcome to the garage. This used trailer that I bought that I've been slowly rejuvenating, rebuilding, whatever you want to call it, it came with some ramps that are fine. They're a little bent, they've been overloaded. I'm going to be building some new ramps. And I've already got the steel to do that, which kind of leads me to part of the problem I'm trying to solve today. I'm going to take these old bent ramps since they're not. I can't really straighten them out. That wouldn't make sense. So I'm going to cut them up and see if I can make something a little bit more something useful out of them. Anyway, the first thing I did was they're short for ramps, but they're a little long for what I want to do. So I cut them. I marked them and cut them at just a little over 3 feet. This is where the plasma cutter came in really handy. I could have cut these with them with a cutoff wheel, but I wanted to take the opportunity to use the plasma cutter a little bit. I also didn't need all of the cross braces that went through these, so cut some of those out just to reduce the weight. I didn't have to completely cut them up. I just needed a few of the pieces off of here, so I cut off these end pieces that were nice and square on the ends. I'm going to use those as a cross brace. Some of this I could have done with a cutoff wheel, but I made quick work of it. And since I didn't need it to be pretty or super accurate, then the plasma cutter worked out really well in this case. So the space that I'm going to be putting this in, I've got 24 inches to work with. So I made it 23 inches across at the bottom. It's only 16 across at the top. The bend of the ramps actually works to my advantage in this case, because it's going to make it a little bit more stable. It's going to be an upright kind of rack. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but I did want it to be at least square so it wouldn't wobble all over the place. Once I got it pretty close to square, then I took one of the cross pieces and just tacked it in place, just to hold as much square as possible. Flipped it over to the other side to kind of do the same thing over there. You can kind of see now where this is going. It is going to be heavy, but I actually want it to be a little heavy. Once I got the middle cross braces in and got it square, I went ahead and put a couple across the top. It was a little out of square once I got it stood up. So for that last top brace, I did have to clamp it down and run a full bead across the top just to hold it in place. I did use the MIG process instead of stick welding in this case. One, it was just easier to tack. I didn't want to use flux core. I don't have dual shield flux core wire, so and I just don't like running regular flux core. It's just not enjoyable. So I kind of gambled a little bit and used a MIG process, even though I was outside. That's kind of a no-no in the welding world. But this thing's not structural in the sense that it has to really hold anything other than keep itself upright. So I was okay with running MIG, and it also makes it easier to tack. I thought about using stick to finish out the welds, but once I got going, I thought, it was working well enough that I finished it out with MIG. As anybody who starts welding and working in metal knows, once you kind of go down that rabbit hole, you start accumulating scrap steel fairly quickly. And that's what's happened to me. So I've kind of got this hodgepodge storage where my steel is laying on the ground and I got it stacked in buckets and different things. So what I'm doing with these ramps is I'm turning them into a small vertical storage for spare or scrap steel, if you will. Trying to gain as much vertical storage for my scrap steel as I can get rather than horizontal. I work in a small garage, so I just don't have a whole lot of space. So all in all, it worked out. Fairly easy project. Just kind of used a plasma cutter to cut up what I needed and welded it back together in a frame to hold my spare steel. I don't have a whole lot of space, so kind of getting it compacted where I can store everything vertical instead of horizontal. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I hope this is a little bit fun and entertaining, and you guys have a great day. Go build you something.